you look at the geography, this city should not exist. Babylon stood in a flat, scorching desert with no forests for timber and no mountains for stone. By all the laws of ancient engineering, this place should be a graveyard. Instead, it became the first megacity in human history, a metropolis of 200,000 people. How? They built the entire city using the only resource they had: mud. But dried mud is weak. One flood and the city melts. So the engineers innovated. They discovered massive underground deposits of natural asphalt called bitumen. By using this black glue as mortar, they created the world's first waterproof, flexible composite material. This allowed them to do what no other civilization could: tame the Euphrates River. The river was the engine of the city, but it was a violent engine. It flooded in spring and dried up in summer. To survive, King Nebuchadnezzar II turned the geography into a machine. 30 miles upstream at Sippar, engineers built a massive diversion dam. This wasn't just a wall, it was a throttle. In the spring, they opened the gates to store floodwaters in a giant artificial lake. In the dry summer, they released it. This water fed a precise grid of irrigation canals, turning the desert into a breadbasket. But the ultimate use of the water was defense. They dug a moat 300 feet wide around the city walls. In an emergency, they could break the dikes and flood the entire surrounding plain, turning Babylon into an island fortress that no army could touch. Protecting this machine was the most sophisticated defense system of the ancient world. Historians claim the walls were 300 feet tall. Archaeology tells us a more interesting story. They used a triple-layered defense: an inner wall 6.5 meters thick, an outer wall 3.7 meters thick, and crucially, a gap between them filled with loose rubble and earth. This acted as composite armor. If a catapult stone hit the wall, the rubble core absorbed the kinetic energy, preventing the brittle brick from shattering. The entrance was the famous Ishtar Gate. To create that electric blue color in a brown desert, they invented a chemical glazing process, fusing copper and silica to the clay at 1,000 degrees. They essentially wrapped their city in glass. Once inside the walls, you wouldn't find the chaotic, winding streets of a medieval city. Babylon was one of the first cities to use a grid system. The streets were straight, paved with stone, and intersected at 90 degrees. The main artery, the processional way, was a superhighway paved with red and white stone, designed to move thousands of people to the center of the city. And at the center stood the Etemenanki, the real Tower of Babel, a 91-meter-tall ziggurat. To stop this mountain of mud from collapsing under its own weight, engineers used nature's version of steel rebar. Every few layers, they laid down mats of twisted reeds soaked in bitumen. This provided tensile reinforcement, creating friction that stopped the heavy bricks from sliding apart. But the crown jewel of engineering was the Hanging Gardens, a forest suspended 75 feet in the air. The mystery isn't beauty, it's plumbing. To keep trees alive in the sky, you need to lift 8,000 gallons of water every day. They likely used an Archimedes screw, a giant spiral spire inside a tube. As slaves turned the crank, the screw lifted the water against gravity, creating a continuous artificial river in the sky. To prevent this water from rotting the mud bricks beneath, they lined the planting beds with massive sheets of solid lead. It was a hydroponic machine disguised as a paradise. The city was a marvel, but engineering has a rule. The more complex the system, the easier it is to sabotage. In 539 BC, the Persian Emperor Cyrus didn't attack the walls, he attacked the water. He diverted the Euphrates River into a marsh. The water level in the moat dropped rapidly. The iron grates under the wall were left hanging in the air. The enemy simply walked under the walls through the mud. The engineering that gave Babylon life was exactly how it died.